performance is The Remedy of Gay Loneliness.
Once upon a time, there was a boy that was different than the other kids in his castle. You see, he didn't look differently, talk differently, walk differently, eat differently, or even sleep differently. But he was different. His castle was beautiful. The walls were painted a faint gold that was complemented by the ivory stained glass windows. Alone in his castle, he even got into dancing, which was an uphill battle to say the least. He even played with the princess's dolls despite what the king wished. He loved life. The other little boys and girls didn't talk to him too much for whatever reason, but he didn't care. He eventually found new friends with people he'd randomly mailed to across the kingdom, many of whom were much older than him. But they were all kind. They talked to him. They listened to him. They liked him. Ultimately, one of the men of a neighboring kingdom had convinced the little boy to meet in person just to talk. Young and stupid, the little boy agreed. They did not just talk. You see, this is not a fairy tale. There's a little boy in this crowd, and there's a little boy here on stage. There's a little boy in every town of America. If every single person in New Orleans were replaced with a gay man, 149,625 of you would have been sexually or physically abused as a child. That's 41%. After being abused, I succumbed to the illness of gay loneliness. I had lost a part of myself. And although many months had passed and my bruises may have elevated, the scars in my brain were eternal. It was hard to forget him when a new guy just reaches across my knee to grab something from his glove compartment. It was exhausting to walk out of a jiu-jitsu match, tearing up because my opponent looked too similar to him. You know, his last message to me was, "Did I do anything to ever upset you?" What? You raped me. In the middle of the night, I drunkenly walked to your car and you mutilated my boundaries with your 35-year-old hands. You tore me off my castle and took it down brick by brick. You haunted me in every waking moment. And at the end of all of it, I still blamed myself. I walked to your car. I sent the first message. And I thought I would forever be in a crumbled castle. I hated myself. I hated being gay. I ended up writing a speech for my high school presentation titled "The Epidemic of Gay Loneliness." This was more than just a project for me. This exposed my truth. I argue that society, due to its inability to accept a male-on-male relationship, has created a system in which gay relationships have been destined to fail. There were 3 main points to this thesis. Number 1, society's view of gay men inadvertently affects gay men's views of themselves. Whether it's somebody's interpretation of a religious text or the Bible, or just the general idea of queer people being unnatural, it has forced gay men to love in the shadows. I, firsthand, and many other gay men firsthand, can tell you that we do not have the privilege to be able to love in public without fearing some form of homophobia. Number 2, once looking for a partner, it is so incredibly common to lower your standards to deal with an abusively high age gap, or somebody in the closet. Either way, you're kept as a secret. Something to hide, something to conceal, something to not even talk about. It is so dangerous for young gay men to view love to not even speak about. This, of course, leads to poor communication skills, which then, in turn, leads relationships to fail. Number 3, how gay men find their strictly sexual or romantic counterparts differs heavily from the heteronormative way. We just have less fishes in our sea. Our sea becomes a lake when looking for a gay man. Our lake becomes a pond when looking for a gay man who is out. Our pond becomes a petri dish when looking for a gay man who is sexually compatible. And we haven't even gone into personality yet. Due to this, so many gay men have become so hypersexual to the point that they view every other gay man as a potential hookup before a possible friend. Due to being caught at the crossroads of being sexually abused and gay, I naturally became hypersexual. It started off with, "Oh, I'm just having fun," or "I'm young, so it doesn't even matter." But then it led for me wanting to needing somebody else in my bed when falling asleep, begging for somebody to fill the silence, pleading that they don't walk away. You see, I not loved vertically, but horizontally. Horizontally, laying under dark gray sheets when multiple beers were in their system. Loved as an experiment, loved unconditionally with the condition that I stay quiet. You see, I accepted the love I thought I deserved. I found refuge from my trauma when his hand moved up my thigh. And although there was a pit in my stomach that sat firmly each time, just for that moment, my loneliness was cured, so I kept going back. My mom told me that one day a man would love me for what I had on the inside, and I soon came to realize that was not what she meant. One Saturday night, I was on my usual path at the bar, found a guy at his place, went back to his place, the whole shebang. But instead of the regularly scheduled program, instead for hours and hours we talked. And talked and talked and talked, and then eventually went to sleep. We woke up the next morning, and then I said goodbye. I haven't seen him since. I actually couldn't tell you his name if I tried. But in that divine moment, he loved me vertically. Vertically, I stood and told him my entire story. Vertically, he loved me without my barriers, loved that same boy dancing inside me all those years ago. And sure, I never saw that dude again. But what if falling in love for me at that moment was not about lasting forever like I had dreamed of as a kid in that castle? What if it's even not about forever, but rather about falling in love with what's right now? After that pivotal point with my stranger, I eventually started breaking down the pieces of my walls against others and instead, piece by piece, rebuild my castle. I had finally found my rhythm again in those gold and ivory castle halls when I realized even the steps backwards were a part of the dance. I found hope in the silence, joy in waking up in the middle of the bed, and I realized that every time they had left me, I was only being led back to myself. Today, I can confidently say I found the remedy for gay loneliness. I can tell you that I can recognize love in its elongated or fleeting moments, while simultaneously knowing that a hypersexualized version of me, on set by being raped, is not the cure to loneliness. Instead, it's genuine connection, vulnerability, and even showing weakness. I'm here to tell you that whether you're gay, straight, able-bodied, disabled, and so on, a victim of sexual abuse, or even neither, to be vulnerable with every fiber of your being. Our hearts and our bodies are only given to us once. And before you know it, your heart is worn out. And as for your body, there comes a point where nobody wants to look at it, much less wants to come near it. So, if you muster the courage and to open yourself up again, your castle will forever be beautiful, and love will never be destined to fail. Thank you.